All right. Let's see here. First off, thank you just for coming out, supporting the event we have today. We are truly grateful for all the support we get for the work that we do. We couldn't do it without many of you that are watching in today. We're just extremely grateful. And even more importantly, we're grateful because these are really rough times, right? And we're all going through some sort of pain, some sort of loss, whether it's businesses, whether it's health, whether it's family. This is just a really tough time for all of us, for our country, for our cities, our businesses. And we want to just let all the businesses know out there, like we truly feel, I mean, we're running businesses ourselves. We just really truly understand the pain and the struggle that you're going through to sustain your business through these times, without the doors being open, with shipping being, canceled on certain things. I mean, it's just a really rough time, and we are with you. We're here to help, and we definitely understand. And I'm sorry, excuse me. And so we want to give our condolences to those who have lost people through this time, dealing with COVID-19. But we also want to thank those that are on the front lines, the healthcare workers, the grocery store clerks, the grocery store employees, the delivery workers. It's a lot of people out there still doing the work as we speak, while we're all sheltered in place in our homes. There's people out there just so that we can go get food, just so that our families or us, if we get sick, that we have a place to go. So a heartfelt thank you to all of the people that are on the front line, still out there doing the work. We appreciate you. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And part of this as well is that, as we know, kids are at home. A lot of families, a lot of children, the only meals that they get are from school. There are a lot of families that are out of work and unable to get groceries, unable to feed their families. And it's nobody's fault, right? Nobody could have predicted this. And so it's not about looking down on people or, putting people down in a bad place. This is about support. So one of the things that we're doing to support is that we're teaming up with one of our really, really good friends and fellow entrepreneurs here in the city of Atlanta, Jasmine Crow. She runs a company called Gooder. And in the reception, you've seen that there was a link to their logo. You can click on their logo and it'll link you. And our goal here tonight, yes, this is a free event. We would love if we could raise $10,000 that Gooder will use to go directly to those families that are in need here in the Atlanta area and beyond. And this is just something that we wanted to do, that we would love you to do, because it's a really, really big need for many families in our community. So thank you in advance for your donations, and we will let people know the goal that we hit after the event is over. And so, why are we here today? What is this event about? Collab, we went on this mission 2 years ago to really create something that would help Black businesses and to talk through and help entrepreneurs that are feeling hardships strictly because they're Black founders. But now that COVID-19 is hit, you probably heard this term before, this statement, that when America catches the cold, Black America catches the flu. And we're already seeing it in the numbers or the percentages of deaths that are attributed to Black Americans, and the rates at which we're passing away from this disease and this bacteria or this virus. It's just astronomical, and it's because of some of the systemic things that we've dealt with as a community that have led to just us being more at risk, from hypertension to diabetes and all these things that come into not having access to healthy foods and just healthy programs or government assistance. And so this was even more important for us to not just launch Collab, but to do it in a way that really showed that we care about how we're building our businesses. And also, you think about the title, it's about betting on us. Through many of these times, we come into these crises, and we're always on defense. We're always reacting. We're always reactionary to things that are happening to us. And instead, with Collab, what we wanted to do is figure out, how do we get in front of it? How do we play offense? How do we start calling the plays so that next time something like this happens, our community is in a stronger place. Our community is in a better situation so that we're not affected as bad as we typically are. When America gets a cold, we want to either get the same cold or be a little bit healthier. And that's the point of today. We want to talk about how can we, even though we're still kind of reactionary, what things are out there that can help our businesses grow? What opportunities are out there that we need to make sure that entrepreneurs and founders know about, and business owners. And then we'll also transition to a little bit about what Collab is and why we started Collab. But for now, I want to bring my partners back up. This is not a one-man show. There are 3 managing partners for Collab. So as you guys can see, Justin, Jewel. And so we'll do some really, really quick introductions, and then we will get into the conversation. So my name is Barry Givens, managing partner at Collab Capital. I'm also the managing director at the Techstar Social Impact Program here in Atlanta. I'm a recovering founder. I've started several businesses throughout my life, from a company called Slushy Kicks, where we custom design shoes back in our dorm room at Georgia Tech, all the way to my last business being a company called Monsieur, where I invented an automated bartending machine. It exited that business in 2017. And that's when I started focusing on this mission that we have here with Collab to really decrease the wealth gap in the Black community and help build up Black businesses. Jewel?
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us and really thinking about all of you. So again, my name is Jewel Burks Solomon. I am a managing partner at Collab Capital. I'm also head of Google for Startups for the US. And I am someone who is deeply passionate about helping founders succeed, and particularly founders of color. So my journey started a long time ago, but my entrepreneurial journey started with Part Pick back in 2012, 2013. I started that business, which was visual recognition for replacement parts. Was fortunate enough to sell the business in late 2016 to Amazon. And since then have become an angel investor and really focused my attention on helping startups grow and really figuring out what are the challenges that startups face and how can we create new solutions to solve those challenges. Justin?
Awesome. Hello, everyone. My name is Justin Dawkins. I am the 3rd managing partner of Collab Capital. Wonderful to see everyone here. Really excited about this evening. My entrepreneurial journey starts a long time ago as well, but I think the highlights are I'm a native Atlantan, so I've been building businesses here in the city of Atlanta for almost, at this point, about 15, 16 years. And I'm also a software engineer. And the things I'm most proud of are co-founding an organization called Goody Nation, where we help everyday people find a role in the innovation economy, solving problems in their own community. And so really happy to see Gooder and happy to continue to support that business as it's one of our graduates from our pre-accelerator. I'm also the Grow with Google digital coach for the city of Atlanta. So happy to support small businesses and continue to empower those power businesses of color and women to make sure that they are viable and competing in a very digital space. And yes, I'm happy to be here and happy to share our journey, our story, and how we want to support Black entrepreneurs going forward.
Thank you. So I'm going to tell a really brief story about what I'm wearing right now. So yesterday we were trying to figure out what we were going to wear for this thing. So I was like, do I go super pro-Black and like put on my pro-Black hoodie or t-shirt, one of the 10 that I have? And I was like, no, I want something that kind of fits the event, or, should I put on a button up to look, but I was like, no, that's not really going to be comfortable. I want to be more in my quarantine chic. And like, I still want to make a statement. And as I was putting together all of my Instagram posts earlier to send you guys who's going to be on the list of guest speakers today, I was like, man, this thing needs to be about collaboration. And I was going through my closet and I was like, man, when I was growing up, who had better collaboration? Who stood for collaboration and coming together to fight the evil that be more than the goddamn Power Ranger? And so I put on my Power Ranger t-shirt because I was so excited about the participants that we have coming on. The guest list that we have today, I'm not even going to spend too much time on it. You guys have probably been flooded by our Instagrams. So we're just going to jump right into it and bring up all of our guests so that you guys can meet them. And then after we introduce them, we're going to jump into our conversation. Can we bring the other part? All right. Ooh, look at that lineup. I think somebody got devices going. All right, there we go. I think there's still an echo out there. All right, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We're going to start off. Kimberly A.
Sure. So hello, everyone. Again, thank you for joining us on this quarantine Sunday. I am thrilled to be here to join so many that I admire and respect. My name is Kim Blackwell. I am the CEO and founder of PMM Agency. Founded the company 21 years ago this month, right out of college. And we are a full service marketing, communication, and advertising arm to the Fortune 100. A little bit more beyond agency arm, we have a company, PMM Productions, which is a promotional products company. In this quarantine, we're going to stand up another company. But what I would also say, outside of the business of PMM, I serve on many boards and I'm a serial investor. I look for great business opportunities and serve as an advisor for startup to scale up businesses. So again, thank you for having me, and I look forward to the dialogue.
Thank you. All right, we're going. Let's see here. We're gonna go into the.
Hey, what's up, guys? Good afternoon, good evening. Cortez, Bryant, co-CEO, Blueprint Group, Maverick, CEO of Young Money Entertainment.
Cortez, you have an echo.
I know I do have an echo. Maybe it's this piece. Hold on. Take this out. Is that better?
No, maybe what?
Nah.
Can everybody use it?
I still hear it. Yeah, I think I'm still echoing over here. Well, I can't even hear myself.
No, you're good on our side now.
Okay, yeah, I'm good now. Okay. Maybe it was the earpiece. Yeah. So, yeah. Cortez, Bryant, co-CEO of the Blueprint Group, Maverick, my management arm, CEO of Young Money Entertainment. Been in the entertainment space and business 16 years now, getting older, getting up there. I started off in managing, and it's kind of the managing has grown into different arms, into the music executive side of things as time went on, and now I'm also into sports and dipping dabbing into tech. So that's kind of the short cliff notes of who I'm happy to be here today and to talk about betting on Black, something I'm definitely believe in and always been about throughout my whole career and even life pursuit. You know what I'm saying? I just wake up in order to pay things forward based off the platform I'm given, and I'm excited for the conversation.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, we're going to move on to Tracey Pickett.
Hey. So my name is Tracey Pickett. I am a native of Atlanta, Stand Up Atlanta, and also a graduate of Spelman College, and really excited to be here. I am the founder and CEO of Hairbrella, and that is an innovative rain hat that insulates women's hair from the rain while protecting their style. I'm also an attorney by trade. I practice in IP and intellectual
intellectual property and corporate law, and left my job back in 2016 to pursue my passion, which is entrepreneurship. And also my passion is other entrepreneurs who are trying to realize their dreams, whether it be an app or a product. I'm really passionate about kind of documenting my journey and also sharing that with others who want to do the same thing. My first entrepreneurial venture was Emoticon. That was an emoji app that me and some friends came out with back in 2014. So been at this for a minute, but full time with Hairbrella now, and excited to have this conversation with my good friends at Collab. So that's all for me.
All right, thanks, Tracey. Moving right along, we're gonna go to Ryan Wilson. You on mute, Ryan. There you go.
Cool. First, thanks to Collab. Y'all are doing inspiring work every day. So I appreciate you creating this event and again for all the participation and support that you give businesses. Thanks for everybody that's tuning in. I'm Ryan Wilson. I'm the CEO and co-founder of The Gathering Spot. TGS is a private membership club rooted in community and culture. I started the business back. I was in my apartment in 2013 when we originally came up with the idea. Didn't end up opening the club in Atlanta until 2016. Full entrepreneurial journey, had to find space, had to raise money. But what's happened since then has really been a true testament to what's powerful when people come together. TGS exists now as a membership community that has a couple thousand members in Atlanta. We, from a space perspective, have event space, a restaurant and bar, and workspace. But I tell people all the time that we're in the community business. And so that community is expanding. We're building right now in Washington, D.C., and have a club announced that will start construction for Los Angeles, en route to hopefully many more across the country. In addition to that, the Gathering Spot has an ownership stake in music and film and tech conference that happens every October called A3C. Last year's for A3C was the first year that we produced the event, but really excited about that platform as well as things go on. So again, glad to be here and appreciate the invitation and excited for this conversation.
Thank you, Ryan. And last, we say this person for last. This is the first time you guys are getting exclusive information. We've never actually talked about this out loud. But the next is Lecrae. And Lecrae has come onto the Collab team as a venture partner. And so we've been working with him for a while now and just truly inspired by his work, and just really happy that he wanted to come and be a part of what we're building here at Collab. And so I will pass it over to Lecrae to introduce himself.
What's going on, everybody? Mic check, making sure y'all can hear me. I'm extremely excited to be here. As y'all know, I'm first and foremost a music artist. I've been in the music industry for many years. Started an independent record label, which has afforded me the opportunity to kind of branch out and do some other things, film production. Recently became co-owner of Pinewood Studios, the second largest studio in the world, next to Warner. And man, I'm just excited to learn more about the tech world. Excited to learn more about all these different spaces that I formerly wasn't involved in, and me getting excited to learn about those things. I ran across these three incredible founders, and it's been an incredible ride since then. And so I'm just excited to be here. Believe very much in what Collab is doing. Believe very much in some of the disparity that exists, unfortunately, within the African American community and businesses. And so I'm just here to bring solutions.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. And he's also one of my fraternity brothers. Appreciate it, Fi.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to jump into the questions now. So we're going to bring up Kimberly, Ryan, and Tracey. All right, there we go. There we go. All right. So you guys are all business owners. All right, I think the echo came back. Am I good? Okay. So you guys are all business owners. So you're dealing with a lot of the same things that, people that are tuning in are dealing with. So I want to talk a little bit about how are you sustaining your businesses, and what changes have you made in the result to keep up with what's going on with COVID-19? Ryan, you smirked. I'll let you kick it off.
I mean, yeah, I smirk because we're the gathering spot and we can't gather right now, and that's been said. But I mean, the good thing about this is that it's given us an opportunity as a business to explore channels that we wanted to for a long time, but hadn't been able to fully jump in. So we already created a platform called tgsconnect.com where we were live streaming a lot of the things that happened at the club, in addition to pursuing creating our own content that was going to go on that platform. And so we pivoted quickly. I mean, I think that the thing that an entrepreneur has to do in a moment like this is not waste any time and not get sad about the situation. I mean, for me, it became pretty obvious that gathering was going to be kind of put on pause, at least in person, for a minute. And we made the decision to close the club on Monday. By Tuesday of that week, we started recording content. By that Friday, we had shot 40 pieces of content that we started to put on the web. And so, I mean, it's been tough. I mean, I think it's for a lot of us totally unexpected. I was one of those people that certainly was paying attention, but didn't think that it was going to get to this point. But I mean, you gotta keep moving and go as fast as you can. Made a pledge to try to protect as many people on my team as I could. That was important. We do have an event business and a restaurant and bar, and so we've had some tough things that we've had to put in place there, up to and including even a meal service program to make sure that our team was in good shape throughout however long this lasts. But I mean, things are all right. We're still moving forward every day, and that's going to be the attitude that I'll continue to bring to it until it's over and we can gather again.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. And I'm gonna save you for last, Kimberly, because I want you to answer from a slightly different perspective. Tracey, how about yourself?
Yeah, so, I have been aware of the issue, as most of us have, but even more intimately because my suppliers are in China. And our initial kind of coming back from Chinese New Year, our inventory was delayed about a month. And so I'm thinking, though, okay, that's going to resolve over there. I didn't imagine that would then turn into a wave here. And so while they're returning to normal, now we're dealing with these issues. And then I thought to myself, well, nobody's going to be going outside, so they're not going to be buying umbrellas. And so the first thing I did, of course, was to gather with my team. And I think it's really important as a company to define your stance when things are going on. Gone are the days where you don't have to think about what is your position about something, whether it be political or controversial. So we decided that, in terms of the theme and how we were moving forward was still fearless. And we were still going to go for the goals that we have for the quarter. We were still going to celebrate Women's History Month. And we were going to basically cut the content that we had planned and find ways to inspire and educate our customers. And one thing you have to think about right now, they are getting enough news. They know what's going on. I mean, you need to let them know what business changes you're going to have to make. But beyond that, find ways to inspire your customers. Find ways they're sitting at home. They want to hear you. This is the opportunity to tell your story. This is the opportunity to hear back from them. What's the feedback that they might have about your business that you probably didn't have time to listen to before? So we really took the stance of trying to inspire and engage our audience, figure out what ways that we could, continue the relationship. But as we started marketing, and I didn't cut my ad spend at the time. I realized that more people are online than ever before, and so for many of us, that's the opportunity. Whereas the cost for impressions might have been at $10, has gone down 20, sometimes 30%. People are opening emails more than they used to. So our sales are actually up 30% since this all happened. And I think it's really important that if you do have an online-based business, I'm sure every business has some aspect of it that can be communicated or engaged online. So find the way to engage your audience during this time, make it meaningful. I think it's very important not to be opportunistic. It's not the time to try and, sell things that you probably weren't going to sell before, but figure out how does my business fit into my customer's life today? How can we engage them? How can we incentivize them? And then lastly, how can we give back? And we haven't announced this, there's actually an email going out later tonight, but we're starting gift cards for the first time, and we're going to donate $10 to Gooder for every gift card that we sell. That's the way that our customers can engage with us. They're still supporting us and our team, but we're also passing that along. So I think it's really opportunity for all of us. And aside from the marketing strategy, I also think it's an opportunity to try things that you maybe weren't going to have time to try before, right? So if there were new lines of business, or whether it be a new product or just getting feedback, I just think that this is a time to kind of settle in, figure out some exciting and fun ways to engage with your customers, and also figure out, what things you might not have had time for before, but that could be beneficial for your business once all things kind of return to normal.
No, perfect segue, because I mean, Kimberly, your business, you run a business, but a lot of your business is helping other businesses. And so how is this affecting you from your business perspective, but also what you're seeing with some of your clients probably having to go through things like Tracey and Bryant are going through now?
So thank you, because you are right. We serve as an arm to many corporations. And so, but we also play in an ecosystem where we're working with small businesses too. I'll tell you for myself, the first thing that I kind of went through by way of business ownership was kind of a capital assessment and looking at capital mitigation. And so what I would say, as there are probably many small business owners on the line, and even if you're not an owner, there may be some independent contractors and those who are in the gig economy that we have now. Look at what is available to you by way of support. We know that the programs through the SBA, SBA.gov, there's the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. There is a $10,000 forgiveness to that loan. The application takes less than 20 minutes. Through that too, it's a way in which you look at how do you subsidize through operational expenses, rent, mortgages, things of that sort. But there's also the Paycheck Protection Plan, and that you have to do through your lender, and find out if your bank is on that preferred lending partner. And I will tell you, to be honest with you, we're in a good spot now. I never take anything for granted because we don't know what's coming. And so me personally, when I first heard of the loans, I was kind of like, I'm good. We have lines of credit on the business. I have a personal line. And I'm hoping to, without sounding too tone deaf and or preachy, that what I am able to share with you all today is really baptism by fire. So I don't want it to sound as though it's coming from any place other than me wanting to help others through my own individual learnings. As I mentioned before, I'm 20 years in. I survived an economic downturn. And to Tracey's point, my business actually grew in that time. So what we're trying to do now is to look at how do we pivot, as Ryan has said, but where do we find ourselves in the value chain with our stakeholders? So you need to look at them. Are they clients? Are they customers? What's important to them? How is it that you bring value to each of them? Where is it that you may need to make some concessions in your delivery model? Because what's going to happen is that folks are going to look at who were the ride or dies during this time, who showed up. So with a lot of my team, I'm saying, hey, get on the phone with our clients. I should see emails flowing because technically, it's a work day. My team is being paid. I've not had to make any adjustments, and I thank the Lord for that. But in the same token, our end users as clients need to see that continued value coming. And so we're treating this as business as usual, because in my world, I eat what I kill, and I'm hunting every day.
Hey. Thank you.
I took a pause because I want the next group to come in. But I got more. Yes, I got more.
Oh man, that was great. That was great, and I mean, I hope you guys are taking notes. I mean, these are from three super successful entrepreneurs. Take notes. Like you don't get jewels like this everywhere. We are going to keep things moving. We're gonna flip the guest up a little bit, and we're gonna bring Cortez to the screen. Man, that was some good information.
Yeah, that was dope.
You gotta still bring value to your customer. No,
Absolutely.
we're not tone deaf either. This is everyone can't do that, right? Like, and you have to be creative sometimes. Everyone doesn't have businesses like that, and so we're definitely not tone deaf, and that's why these other programs exist for those, maybe some of those businesses that can't be as creative in this time. But we're also here to help you find these other ways and to get these grants and these loans. So don't really want to sound like we're tone deaf, like Kimberly mentioned. But Tez, what's up, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm maintaining over here in this house. The longest I've been in the house for the last 16 years, I've never been in the house this long. Like, this is definitely new for me.
Well, you're busy, and that is going to lead into your question, man. I mean, you have obviously from managing some of the most familiar artists, from Wayne to Drake and Nicki, and now you're in sports, you're in the tech world. Like, you're getting hit from all different angles with COVID-19. Like, how are your artists getting affected with streaming, trying to have a new startup, those kind of things. You're right in the thick of it, like some of the founders on the live stream right now. Like, your athletes aren't playing. Like, it's just you're getting from all these different angles.
And there's totally different dynamics in each one of those businesses, man. I mean, the bread and butter of the music side of things, true enough, we're probably one of the industries that has gotten affected the most because of most artists makes money, the bulk of their money from touring.
Yep.
Being on the road, concerts, shows, that's probably the bulk of most artists out here is bread and butter and their bottom line. One great thing that I've done, and me and my team has done since the beginning, we've always thought outside the box and made sure that touring wasn't the end all and be all for all our clients, right? So I'm blessed to say, none of my clients are really suffering during this time based off of everything else we got to, because we have a lot of things going on outside of just music, and it's one thing that I preach to them from the inception of our relationships and from our business relationships. But as a whole, I feel like one thing about music and through the test of time, it's been like the universal language of the world, right? And one thing, what you're seeing right now, what you're seeing a lot right now with all these lives and D-Nice with this, quarantine sets, we've always used music to get through hard times, to get through good times. It's been in our DNA that music has been that funnel for people throughout their lives, whether it's ups and downs. So me on the management side of things, I just saw this opportunity. I knew that the bread and butter of touring was going to stop, but I also understand over the last couple of years with the internet and with people consuming content more on their phones and on the computers, and not the linear radios and TVs what it used to be, television back in the day. I just knew that was going to amplify the opportunities in those spaces. So for us on the music side, that's what I've been paying attention to. I've been really diving into partnerships, creating a couple platforms that you're gonna probably be seeing in the next couple weeks and months with some of my clients. To take advantage of producing content to give to their fans, and give to the people in creative ways. So that's basically, content is king, as you can see, in the consumption of everybody being at home, it's been more beneficial. So from my point of view, I just pivoted, like Ryan said, to thinking, what tools do we have and how to maximize off of what we do have and what we can't do, so that's all in play. The sports business, it's up in the air. We don't know where it's going. one thing I do preach to these guys though during these times, you know what I'm saying, especially in the NFL, over the last couple of years, we thought there was going to be a big holdout and strike with this new collective bargaining that they just did, but it didn't happen that way. So I've been telling my guys to think outside the box anyway, and put your money in different places. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, which brings me to you guys and why Collab is so important. You know, so now I'm directing them to, you know, you got this downtime. You know, when I direct those, stay in shape, because you never know when your number is going to be called. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you could do to kind of keep your body right, your mind right, you know, but now sit down, stop, pause, look at opportunities out there, look at people you may be able to help, you know, whether it's giving back to, you know, but I believe that if you plant a seed, you know, you're going to grow fruit and it's going to pay, you know, be blessed down the line. So, you know, I've told a lot of them, look at things where you may be able to help because you're in a better situation, you know, and also, you know, take time now because a lot of them have busy schedules with training and being able to do the things they do. Now look at these opportunities that we have, these businesses that may need, you know, a little bit of help, you know, with you know, Black businesses who don't get the same opportunities as everyone else. And let's look at places where you could put your money at and gain some equity and some wealth, you know, in that space, you know. And finally, educational ed tech, right? You know, this has been my newest mission and passion that I've had over the last couple of months. And I think that this time, you know, and that's just basically building a platform that educates, that is doing exactly what you guys are doing for Black businesses and entrepreneurs and startups to the whole community. You know what I'm saying? Trying to build an education platform, you know, to tap into where all our people who probably grew up the same way I came up with, growing up in New Orleans, didn't have much, poor, you know, trying to tap into, have access and resources to take a look and get educated on things, or have some type of vision of maybe could guide them in certain paths to have the success that a person like myself and everybody on this panel has had, you know what I'm saying? So we're building this platform called Be Great. And that's what it's all about. It's just it's a master class, but just for Black entrepreneurs, you know, to Black entrepreneurs to pay it forward and teach the next generation who may not have that same access, may not have the same access that, you know, the normal white kid have, you know what I'm saying? Trying to even the playing field and get everybody on the same playing field, right? So
yeah, I love it.
The opportunity, you know, and that opportunity is great. So we're trying to build this fast right now because I feel like while everyone is at home right now and can't go anywhere, you know, it's a great opportunity for ed tech, just education as a whole. The education as a whole, whether you're reading a book or just trying to find whatever that itch is in your heart that may be a passion to kind of explore, now you got time to really dive into whatever that is. You know, we want to provide resources with this, you know, with my ed tech plan, provide resources for people to kind of give the blueprint, like this is how I did it, you know?
Yeah.
So that's quarantine life for me, man.
No, I appreciate all the insight. Like I said, I know you're a super busy dude, man, and just appreciate all the work you're doing. We're going to bring Lecrae in because you had a great segue, man, into just people are at home, right? Like, in especially in your world, you know, dealing with sports, entertainment, you know, cats that are normally like on a regimen, you know, they're working out every day, they're going to practice, they're doing all these things. As Cortez mentioned, you have people that are doing shows, they're on tour, they're on these regiments. But real quick, Lecrae, I'm going to bring up a couple more people to join you. With all the friends that you have in the sports entertainment industry, now we're in this quarantine. It's like, what advice are you giving them? Because I mean, you've been doing a great job of it, been watching your IG, just staying busy, doing things. What advice are you giving them to take full advantage of now having this openness that Cortez just talked about, having this openness in their schedules now?
Yeah, I'll make it really simple. It's three things I tell people to do. I say, number one, digest. Number two, assess. Number three, invest. So number one, is digest the reality of your circumstance. Don't write it off. Don't panic either, because panic is not going to solve anything. A lot of people are panicking and freaking out, and panic is not going to solve your issues. You're not going to be able to think clearly and navigate the circumstances that you're in. So you've got to digest it and accept the reality that we're sitting in right now. Potential recession. We don't know how long it's going to be. Maybe it'll be 3 months, but let's just say it's a year. So that way you can plan out that far along. And then I would say, assess. This is a good time to assess your whole situation. Assess your company, assess your staff, assess the people around you, assess your business. This has been a great time for me. And I'm the type of person that has multiple streams of income. And, let's just take 3 of them. One of them is suffering. One of them needs now to be assessed and needs some energy into it. And another one is doing great and thriving in the midst of everything that's going on. And so I would just say, in digesting what's going on, it's made me say, okay, for one aspect, I need to find all those resources that I need that will help me in what I've got going on. I believe Kim was talking about, your new business is finding solutions for your business, right? So you no longer work in that business, you're working on that business and finding solutions for your business now. And then I'll move into, folks, it's when you assess, you got to put some new energy into what you have going on. There's some stuff you've had laying stagnant, and some people that, weren't really doing what they needed to be doing, or some aspects about your business that needed to be, sharpened up in order to make the most out of this. And I think this whole COVID situation puts a little jab, little uppercut to that situation. And lastly, invest. Some of us have the liberty and the luxury to sit back and this isn't affecting us in the same way. Maybe we're thriving in the midst of it, and we can take a minute to invest in some other aspects of our world and our business that, aren't thriving, and invest in other people. You know what I mean? I invest in folks, and now's the time to be innovative, right? You look for solutions. And so this is a solution-oriented time. When you're in dire straits, figure out ways to help people. And sometimes those ways you're looking to help people become viable businesses for you, your companies. And if you're a musician, you're an athlete, you're an artist, partner up with people like that.
Phew, somebody tweet that out. I'm definitely stealing it. So we digesting, assessing, and investing. True. I just stole it. It's gonna be in my new book when I write it. I give you some credit though. Let's bring on Ryan real quick. I want to chat with you guys. So, what are some ways? I mean, you both are community leaders. Like, what are some ways the community that we can work together? Ryan, that's literally your business. Is like bringing people together. Hell, Collab started at the gathering spot, right? And so this is just the people, like, they need to understand, like, this is a time to work together, not to hoard and to like block other people out and work in a sense of scarcity. So just talk to the crowd a little bit about like how we work together as a community to ensure that our Black businesses make it through tough times like this.
I mean, I think first and foremost, this is not time off, right? Like, we can't look at this like it's a snow day or some time just to relax. Maybe some of that, right, for if you've been in a situation where you haven't had time to reconnect with folks. But the vast majority of us should be spending the time continuing to kind of push the pace. This, more than anything, is going to be about who creates distance. Now, to your question, the point about how we get through it together, that was the kind of the biggest shift that our business had to move into, knowing that we weren't going to be able to see people in person. How are we going to make sure, though, that when we did get back, that everybody was going to be there with us? To do that, we're going to have to do things that feel maybe a little funny. I mean, it's stuff like you probably can tell I haven't had a haircut in well, Barry, you look like you've had a haircut. I don't know what you've been doing.
Hey, no barber was harmed in this lineup.
You cut my hair. I have been following.
Look at me. No barber was harmed in this lineup.
For those of us that have been following the rules, like it's we have to think about businesses like that, right? And continue and get creative, right? So this is maybe paying for haircuts that you're not going to receive until May or June. Right. It's thinking about all of the small businesses that we interact with and continuing to make sure that dollars are circulated. If we don't, right? What's going to happen is that there's going to be businesses that we loved before all of this that won't exist anymore. And we're going to be those people that are going to be like, well, I wonder what happened, or why didn't they? What happened is that we didn't do the thing that we needed to do, which is continue to push any amount of capital to those businesses to keep them going, right? I mean, a lot of the small businesses that are out there, they're not that much different than many people. They can't go on multiple weeks and months without having any income come in. And so we've got to resist that temptation of feeling like, hey, well, you know, I'm not really, you know, I'm not able to go over there right now or do that, or like I'll get back to them when things calm down. That, like, we cannot do that, right? We have to be more intentional than ever about making sure that we're reaching out to folks in the community and operating with the simple principle that, look, I'm gonna put it out, and if we're all operating in good faith, it'll come back to you in some way, right? We have to keep it moving though, because if we don't, again, there's going to be some folks on the other side of this that won't make it. Part of the reason why we had to create a fund at the club and are continuing to grow that fund, because there's for me, the loans and programs that Kim mentioned are awesome, right? And if small businesses that are listening to this, you should absolutely take advantage and be very diligent about using those programs. But nothing beats a customer, right? And many more people, and I would argue everybody on this or in this conversation is a customer in some respect. So make sure that you're still continuing to do that with whatever best ability that you have. I mean, I understand times are tight, and you know, that looks different for a lot of different folks. But hoarding during this time is that's not going to be the way that we're going to survive this as a community. It's never been how we've operated, and it can't be how we operate now.
Real quick mental health point that you threw in there that I want to make sure all the entrepreneurs and founders heard out there. Yes, businesses operate. You know, he said small businesses operate and they may not have an extra month of capital. If you're one of those small businesses that's struggling now because you don't have an extra 2-3 months of capital, just understand, like, Delta did not have an extra month of capital. Neiman Marcus, like, all of these companies that are being bailed out, and like, this is not just a small business or a black business problem. Like, it's cool. You're in good company. A lot of people didn't have, an extra month or two of capital laying around. So just a mental health check point. You guys don't put yourselves down too bad. Like, this is unprecedented. Nobody's ever been through this before.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, don't suffer in silence, right? Like, look, this is only going to be solved with our community coming together. We've got to be honest with one another. That's talking to each other about what we're doing with rent, about how we're handling employment issues, about what's going on with various contracts and purchase orders and different, like, we've got to talk and put our cards, I mean, right on the table and tell folks what's going on. Again, it does nothing in this situation to be the entrepreneur that's over in the corner suffering in silence. Like, talk to somebody about what you need, because closed mouths don't get fed, right? Like, we're going to have to be very, very energetic about making sure that folks know just where we are.
All right, Lecrae, real quick, what you got?
No, to his point, I think Ryan made a lot of incredible points. A big piece of it, man, is integration. We got to become integrated as business owners. And so as we become integrated as business owners, we begin to lean on one another. And so let's say, for instance, obviously the Black-owned hair salon doesn't have a customer right now, but the digital the tech owner does have plenty of online consumers. If these two people are integrated and feel like they're bonded in community, then they're looking for solutions for one another. And maybe this guy's saying, hey, let me give you a platform where you can teach people how to cut hair, while they're at home. It's just thinking innovative, finding solutions, and then saying, hey, I'll seed you this money in the meantime while you're in this particular situation, because I have it to invest. And that's just us working together. That's just us being a community. We're very small. We make up 12% of the U.S. population. And I think sometimes we get too wrapped up in thinking that, I'm good on my own. I got this. I don't need any help. And man, we need each other more than ever.
Oh, I muted myself on accident. 100%. Appreciate that. Man, we're moving through this thing good. And it's a lot of jewels being dropped. I appreciate it, fellas, but we are going to bring some ladies to the stage. I guess, is this a stage? I don't know. It's all live. Who cares? It's virtual. We're going to bring them to the screen. We're going to bring on Jewel Burks and Miss Kimberly again. Fantastic. All right. So we're going to move a little bit. We talked about how we can support our businesses as a community. But another really important part about supporting businesses is writing checks and investing. And as two Black women investors, of whom I am inspired by and I look up to, how are you thinking about this time as an investor and as an investment strategy during this time?
I'll start. Y'all bear with me. I got this green screen set up and this I
wasn't gonna put you on blast.
I tried to try something new, mix it up. But anyway, so this is a really interesting time to be an investor. I think, one hat I wear is an angel investor. So the first thing I did a few weeks ago was reach out to all of my companies that I'm invested in and just check on them, see how they're doing, let them know that I'm here if they need to talk, hear about what's on their minds, what are their concerns. And that to me is very important for all investors to do, which is just a check-in. How are you? How's it going? How are you thinking about this? On the Collab side, we are building a fund that is specifically focused on entrepreneurs who are focused on building profitable, sustainable businesses that can withstand these types of storms. So I think I've gotten even more confidence in that model because this is the type of thing where it's really important to have some customers, revenue, those things that you can stand on even when you're going through all of this. So I think for folks that are looking for investors or currently have investors, one thing I wanted to echo was something that Ryan said in the last part, which is you have to communicate. A lot of times, those of us who are busy and doing a lot of different things, we won't know what's going on with your particular business. So if you do have investors, now is the time to be reaching out, letting them know how you're handling this. What's your proactive plan? If you're having to let go of people, letting your investors know, because we might have workarounds. So those are some of the things that I've been thinking about as an investor in this period.
Kim, what about you? You still on mute.
Okay, there I am.
There you go.
Okay, so, for me, to be totally honest and transparent, my immediate focus was PML. And so for me, as I look at, I kind of treat some of my investments like the market. And some of them, I just have to ride out for a certain amount of time. I do think, Jewel, what you said in the sense of over communicating. And this is why I always tell people too, don't play with money that you can't afford to lose. So if you are in this game, you stick close to it, but understand too that it's a marathon and not a sprint. And so for me, what I'm actually looking at, and this is the opportunity cost with having a little bit of planning for these type of situations, not knowing that it would be to this extreme, but so that you are prepared in an opportunity cost of being able to play. This actually now is when deal flow is happening. I had 2 calls come in to me this week for new deals. Most of the things that I'm looking at right now are by way of fintech companies and by way of companies that are focused on direct to consumer. We're going to see a lot of things change in the way in which consumers get their goods and services. And so the forecast for me is looking at those type of models that are innovative in their product and service, but also in how they get to their end user. And so, I'm being a little conservative for right now. I'll have to be honest with you. But I also know too that when it's time to pull the trigger, I'm ready. This is an interesting conversation in mixing the stressors and strains of the small business and then kind of flipping over and talking about folks who have extra capital, so I want to make sure too that I manage that by way of understanding that there will be a lot of lessons and learnings that come out of this. And this is not the time to be preachy, but it is the time to pay attention. What is it in our go forward strategies and how we plan and prepare for the unforeseen circumstances? And so for me too, is looking at ways in which I can help folks understand that it's not just access to capital, it's access to credit. And we need to make sure that we are positioning others. I want to go back very briefly, Barry, to one thing that you said around just kind of how folks are doing business differently. You know, there are a lot of great cultural moments that we are providing to the world right now. And we're doing it in the sense of how the circumstances have evolved through quarantine. But in business, we must monetize. And folks who are doing these things need to look at how do we monetize these as business solutions and opportunity. And so there are ways and, you know, new programs like, you know, is it Twister? I wrote it down. Twitch is one. Tip jar. So when you're in all these lives, and maybe not as much for the battles, because I think the battles have shown us that that is content that people will tune in, whether it be linear or SVOD. Swiss Beats and Timberland need to figure out how that becomes something that extends well beyond quarantine. So my big thing in quarantine that I would advise for everyone, I have this own process for myself, is how do you differentiate your business by way in which you position yourself in the market? How do you diversify? Are there ways and channels that Jewel and others have mentioned that you should now be looking at testing by way of expanded opportunity for your business? How do you disrupt the market? And then for me, that last D is important. How do you dial for dollars? Don't be afraid nor shy to dial for the dollar, okay? Because that is the way that you will find out, where and how, what and how your strength in the marketplace. Lean into relationships. I have a lot of clients where they've actually scoped up in the sense of what we're doing now. I've had new customers and clients come in this time. But if you look at that differentiate, diversify, disrupt, and dial for dollars. But lastly, you mentioned wellness. And this is important. Guys, there's a lot going on. We're in a pandemic, okay? So our mental wellness is key too. So as much as I'm talking about the grind, I need to make sure that I'm putting that in perspective. See, for me, work is therapeutic. So for me, this is like how I move. I've been moving like this for now 21 years, right? But I also think it's important too to just sometimes be still. Make sure that what we're putting in the sense of pressures upon ourselves are not adversely impacting our productivity. It's okay to get recentered in the sense of understanding your business. Check out if you have folks and teams that work with you and or for you in the sense of how you deliver. Make sure that they're okay. I tell my team every week, they're working hard. I told you, and I do not take that for granted. They have families, when I have one young lady that I wish to goodness I had sent her home to her family in Texas. Like I am so up, but who knew? So she's weathering this storm as a young millennial in her 20s by herself, when she could have been with her parents. So, make sure that we're checking in on one another and finding those tribes that challenge us, that inspire and motivate, and keep the negativity at a low. I know there's a lot of fun things that are going around. We're laughing, and that's all fine and good, but watch what you put into your mind at this time, because we only need the positive. And, what happens sometimes are in those quiet moments, the enemy gets busy. And I just want folks to know that it's okay if you are a business owner and operator to take that time of mental health. I ordered a Peloton bike. You know, I'm a little bit more outside with my dog. My dog is probably like, whoa, she's really home. He probably hasn't seen me in this long and forever. But I'm trying to take those times and moments because, you know, if you are moving fast as an entrepreneur and you're spending and you're growing and scaling your business, I don't care where you are. You might be on the first year of your business. You are pretty much head down. We may not ever have this type of time available to us again with family, with friends, and that too can be encouragement as we look to drive solutions to our businesses.
Man, you put on time and I was down, but I was like,
every now and then that preacher creeps up, and I'm sorry, I go evangelist on you.
Hey, no, I mean that's why people are here. They want to hear those things, and so we really appreciate it. I mean, man, I hope y'all tweeting this stuff out. We'll have the we will have the copy of this, so I will go back and listen to it. Keep going. So, but I hope you guys are really paying attention and taking some notes. At this point, can you mute?
I'm on.
Sorry about that. At this point, we want to bring up
Barry.
Yes.
I just want to add one point. Kim said it all. I really can leave and done. But there was one thing that she mentioned that I wanted to touch on, which is the fact that this is an awesome time. All the creators, all the people that are keeping us entertained, this is a great time to monetize content. And I want to give a shout out to our friend Isaac Hayes. He has this new app called Fanbase, which is created just for this purpose of creators and celebrities and folks who can entertain us, making content and actually getting credit and dollars from it. So definitely wanted to give him a shout out because, you know, a lot of times we run to the big platforms, but we're making this stuff ourselves, and we should support each other. So Isaac, I don't know if you're watching, but just a shout out to what you're building at Fanbase.
100%. I was scared to say it. I didn't know we could throw it out.
On the side just to make sure.
But I'm excited. Definitely go do it. It's a way to monetize. A little more monetization than Instagram allows. But want to go ahead and shift. I want to talk about some collab stuff, and so I want to bring up. Can we bring up Justin? Thank you, Kimberly. I think we might bring you back up for another question. I want to bring up the collab team and kind of transition into what we're doing at Collab and how it correlates into this conversation and why it's important. And then we'll bring up a couple of guests to talk as well. Want to start off with Justin. I mean, you are a serial entrepreneur. You've seen it all. You've been through it all. Why was Collab? What about Collab and what we're doing was like important to you and important that you were a part of something like this?
Great question. For me, as being blessed with a few different skills that allowed me to kind of cover quite a few bases in a business, I felt like it was timely. One of the things that I was running into quite often was I was getting to kind of like the end of the opportunities that I was able to present to founders. So whether that's helping them with their technical roadmaps, whether that was helping them with their marketing strategies, I would always find myself like wondering what else could I do? And there was a theme occurring. So as the entrepreneurs that have come up behind us have started to produce amazing things, it was kind of getting to a centralized theme here, which was, okay, I've done the marketing strategies, I've created the technical roadmap, I found the talent, I've built a team, and now I need capital. And so one of the things that I really wanted to ensure founders had was that next step, was making sure they had the resources and the capital that they needed. And I felt like there was time for a full stack of solutions for Black founders.
No, appreciate that. And Jewel, me and you went through the trenches together next door to each other. And we used to complain about some of this stuff all the time, just around, trying to raise money. trying to just get people to see us, right? It's like as having really highly technical companies and people not believing that we could be the ones actually building this thing. How important is it to have investors across the table that believe that you can actually be this smart, that you can do something that's this creative, and that you can start a real business?
I mean, it's so important. And it's really, our own experience is why we decided to build Collab, because I cannot even tell you how many times I had conversations with people and they just could not get over the exterior. They could not believe that me, Dr. Nashley Cephas, another Black woman, most of our team being Black and building this high-tech solution, they just couldn't believe it. And so I knew while we were in that process that if I ever made it over, we ever got through with it, then on the other side of it, I would get on the other side of the table and be that investor that I, wasn't able to find in a lot of cases. And we had some great investors, but, out of hundreds of conversations and hearing many times over, oh, this is great, product's great, but there's something that's missing, and knowing that the thing that I was missing was just that we didn't fit the pattern. So I think it's really important and special what we're doing, where we can understand that a Black entrepreneur can come up with anything, and there's nothing limiting. There's no limiting factor as far as their Blackness, and that's actually in many cases a strength, and it shows us something about what they've been able to overcome. So I'm excited about what we're doing, and hopefully we'll have many entrepreneurs that we can support through this time.
Yeah, I mean, that's I'll drop my little 2 cents in. It's so important to have investors, and I'll also wrap into like this moment. I know I wasn't a part of that investor conversation with Jewel and Kim earlier, but one of the things that happens when the money pulls back from an investment perspective in these times is people really start to look even more within. And if you don't have a warm intro into something, or if you don't fit a certain build, the conservativeness just grows and grows and grows in these moments. And this is why Black folks, we're already locked out, and we become even more locked out because, one, the investors are going to focus on their current portfolio because they have to protect that money that they've already invested in some of the companies. And obviously with less than 1% going to Black founders, we're not a part of that money that's being protected. And then second, if they are going to open up and make any, I mean, Kimberly touched on it. Every investor is not going to be writing checks right now. Some people are going to pull back and see what's going to happen in the market. And so with the money scarce out there, if you don't have a warm intro, if you're not being introduced to somebody from somebody that they know, trust, they're not going to get an answer in that email. And so more than ever in times like this, we have to have more connection so that entrepreneurs can walk into a room or get a warm introduction to somebody like this. Like, think about, we have, almost 400 people. I can't see the numbers from my side. But being connected into something like this is now maybe you were 4 degrees of separation from some money. Now maybe you're 2 because you came to an event like this. And so these things are so important for our businesses. And that's why for me, Collab was so important. Like, beyond the model, I mean, we built a really dope model built for Black founders. Well, I'm saying built for Black founders, built for Black investors, but it can really help Black founders. And also just help people, investors that want to invest from a different model and kind of diversify their investment strategies. But more importantly, it was giving a pathway for founders that look like us into a room with real money that can actually help prop up their business, allow them to quit their job and go full time so they can really jump into it and not be kind of working on their first shift and second shift. And so this was really important to me. And not only do we have the fun side on the partner side and the team that we've built, shout out to our team at Collab. I won't go over everybody's name. We built an awesome team. I don't know, should we shout them out? Yeah, we should. So also on the team, we have Rachel, who's out and probably answering your comments. She's out in the chat. She's our director of operations, and honestly, like she keeps this thing humming. We have Elliot, who is our fund manager and financial guru, coming from a private equity background, being able to help us keep our numbers tight. We have Tammy, who's our director of operations for Collab Studio, which Justin will talk about a little bit. We're just building this really, really dope team. But another really, really important part about what we're doing at Collab is the LP base that we're building up. And so for a couple of minutes, I want to bring up Lecrae and Cortez as investors in Collab to talk a bit about, you know, like what pushed you over the edge? Like, why was this important for you to be a part of, coming from the industry the industries that you guys are coming out of, kind of coming on our side of the world? Like, what about this mission? What about what we were doing really made you guys want to get involved?
I'll go ahead. I think for me it was again, like I mentioned before, it's solutions, you know, and I felt like, especially being in Atlanta with such a huge concentration of Black people, I just could not figure out how and where to wrap my mind around the collective momentum that was happening in the city, and I didn't see it working as a unit as much as I would have liked to. And so it wasn't until I really, you know, on my mission to learn about innovative companies and startups and try to understand how this community could come together, is when I ran into you know, Barry, Jewel, and Justin, and I think from there it was just like, man, it was like a prayer answered, and you know, so that was what pushed me over the edge, was just seeing that those two worlds kind of collide.
I think that you know, what you guys would stand for, and a mission statement, me on my side of things as a manager, as the executive, and like I said, I try to tell all my clients to understand that they have a window of opportunity, whether it's music and sports, and at any time, you know, Lord forbid, but you know, they could lose their voice or get hurt on the field, and what do you have then? You know, so I always tell them in the beginning of their careers, outside of building their brands, which I help them do, each one of my clients do, build a brand outside of just what they're doing, you know, take the advantage of the blessings that they have to make a lot of money with this window that they have, and think about things that they could do to ensure that outside of music and sports, that, you know, they are building equity and building other sources of income outside of their main sources, you know, why the iron is hot. You know, one thing that I have learned, you know, tech is, you know, I dipped and dabbed a little bit over the years, but never got fully into it. But based on me really, you know, over the years of just experience and getting into a certain deal, certain places, I really never saw people that looked like us that were focused on investing in companies like us, you know. And I get a lot of people, you know, that come to me on a daily basis and may hit me up, a lot of startups and people trying to start small businesses, you know, if it's not for an investment, for advice, you know, and kind of tell me the struggles that they have just getting a loan or having a big venture capitalist company invest in them, you know, and all the red tape, which I never knew because I never had a startup, never had to deal with that. So I never knew the real struggles. And, you know, when I met you guys and you kind of laid it out, what I've been hearing over the years, and then you had a solution for it, you know, and then your purpose were for those same people that I saw struggling. I was like, okay. And I was like, that, you know, this is what it's all about. You know what I'm saying? This is what it's all about. I'm all about, you know, paying it forward and planting seeds back into our community to help us grow and be on that equal playing field as everyone else, of every other race in this company. So, you know, so I saw the opportunity to invest, you know, you guys and be, you know, and tell my guys, like, listen, I'm putting my own money into this, and I'm putting my own money to this company. You know, I believe in them. I believe in the mission that, you know, they're doing. You know, they've been proven in what they've done in the business, you know, and first, and the biggest thing, you know, their purpose and what they're doing and who they're targeting and who they're trying to help out. You know, they're the underserved, you know, the Black startups, the Black founders are underserved. And on the flip side of things, it's Black those athletes, entertainers, people like myself who have no idea how to invest and know what to do. You know what I'm saying? We have access to a lot of success. Lord, the God's blessed us to have this money, you know what I'm saying? But we end up doing frivolous things and going out, you know, we spent a whole lot of money on a whole lot of things that we probably could have been doing back then. But there's no people, you know, that looks like you guys are like, listen, I got something that you could really put your money into and be worthwhile, you know. And I've had business managers and financial planners, accountants, you know, and none of them have guided us to what you guys are doing, you know. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, this makes all the sense in the world, and I want to do my part to champion them. And my first step is let me do it first. Let me set the example by showing all my clients, like, look, I'm diving into this, you know. So, you know, I believe in these guys this much. So now I want you guys to come and see what I'm doing and see their purposes. So that's why I think collab is important. What you guys are doing is great.
Man, I almost just start crying. I'm gonna cry in the car. I'm gonna do it right here. Well, I mean, as any entrepreneur knows, man, like you sit in these bubbles and you sitting there with your co-founders and your partners, and you say all these things out loud, like, man, people are gonna want this, or like this is gonna work, and it really doesn't 100% resonate until you hear it coming from the very people that you wanted to be a part of it. And so, I mean, we're truly appreciative of you two kind of coming on board and helping us get through this journey, because you as LPs is what really makes us different than a lot of other funds and a lot of other people writing checks, is that we want to have access to, I think Kimberly hit on it earlier, where we have all this dope stuff going on, and then we have and people are pulling 100,000 people into these live streams in these rooms, and then we have founders on the other side that may have solutions that can help them, or that can help promote them, or help them do something cool in the back. Whatever the case may be, we have all these smart techies building these things, and those worlds are so far apart right now. And by having like us coming from the tech world, partnering with people like yourselves, you know, coming from the music, the influencer, kind of sports world, being able to close that gap is going to be super important to us as a community moving forward. Another thing you touched on, Cortez, that I wanted to touch. One of the things that makes us, and this isn't a knock, because I know people try to tweet stuff and say, you know, we shitting on other people, but this isn't a knock to anyone. But when Jewel had her party, when she took her job at Google for Startups and during Black History Month, you know, we had this event at the Google office, and I brought a very, very prominent white investor into the room. And he's literally the only white person in the room. And when he walks in, he's just looking like, Barry, this is great. He was like, I know so many other Black investors, and only thing they want to do is get in the rooms that I'm in. They're not bringing me into these rooms. And so a lot of times we talk about like white investors, they're not where we are, right? Like they don't see the things that we see. They don't have the access that we have into our community. And if we're not bringing them in, then they're never going to know how great we are. And that's one of the things that we want to serve as at Collab, is how can we be that conduit? Not just, we're still going to bet on ourselves and we're going to play offense and make sure that we're good and we are like in control of our own community. But we're going to make sure we're dope enough that when we do open the door and let other people in, that they're going to want to write checks. Like we're going to increase that number and other people writing checks in us because we've taken care of the back of our house and we've taken care of business. Man, I appreciate you guys so much, man. Like,
I want to say one other thing too. Like, I really think we as a people have got to get over. It's almost like a self-hatred. You know what I'm saying? What we're looking at right now across the board is, in every individual on this panel is been successful in their different spheres, and so we tend to project this self-hatred like I'm scared of us, as if us is gonna mess something up. Everybody on this panel has already done it and done it right. And so if everyone's getting together collectively with other people who have done it and done it right, that should be all the more incentive for other people to want to get involved and want to get behind it. And so I just think we have to get over this hump of self-hatred and believe in the worst about each other. Like we are, you know, nobody's ice is colder, nobody's water is wetter. You know what I'm saying? We just as capable as anybody else of doing the things that need to be done.
Hey, Craig, I 2000% agree with you. I was just having a conversation. Jewel mentioned Isaac Hayes' new platform fan base, right? I was just having a conversation with him about that yesterday because, you know, his platform makes all the sense in the world for, you know, for influencers. You know, it's really monetizing everything, all the content that everybody's putting out for free. You know, it's a platform that's done well, like executed well, and it's great. But you know, I brought this to a couple of my clients, you know, and we have this stigma, you know, we do have the stigma in our community like white is right, you know, and that's something got to be popping before you jump on, you know. And I try to train them to think different, like I said, try to lead the way into the things that I usually do, you know, but I dealt with that same stigma in conversation, you know. So I, you know, and I told that to Ike. I was like yesterday, I was like, bro, you know, it's a reality that we're dealing with. You know, you got one of the dopest platforms I've ever seen, like all the solution, like how he, you know, engineered this app. I was like, this is out of here. Like, this makes all the sense in the world for me. So, you know, but it's gonna take, you know, we're a following type race, and sometimes we got to stop doing that, man, and really look at what it is and take some risks and take some chances, you know, especially when you have a foolproof model of success for its monetization, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, he's giving you that. It's not like, you know, it's some way where you could build and take an audience and really make some money off it. So I agree with you 2000%. You know, and it's definitely something that we got to work with to keep championing and bring it to our people to understand that, you know, the only way that we're going to succeed is working together, man. That's the only way that throughout history, all the big black movements, you know, the secrets of success behind all those movements was togetherness. And it seems easy, but, you know, it seems very easy, but that's what it is. We have to support each other in these times.
All right, can we bring Ryan up on the screen real quick? So everybody, we want to get to questions. We're about to get to questions, but as we roll out into this thing, we're going to do two more things. We want to ask Ryan a quick question. We may or may not play the longer version of the video that we put out earlier on the gram. So we'll see real quick. But Ryan, this whole conversation has been about community, man. And I've never seen a black community be built like I watched built from when it was just grumbled up concrete on the floor at the gathering spot. We did that first walkthrough, and to now. And I think you're a great testament to that community coming together. I mean, I remember us having those conversations, and it was people like Shaka that like came on board and started doing events and telling other people to come through. And bringing his industry people, and next thing you know, the mayor's there, and you know, I mean, but it took that community coming together. So you run the world of community right now in Atlanta when it comes to black folks, and honestly, other races should be taking cues from you as well. But how do we do this? Just real quick before we jump into questions, how do we do what Cortez and Lecrae just talked about?
I mean, I think it goes back to being intentional, and I will say too. It's about us acknowledging when people have been supportive, right? One of the things that I try to make sure that I'm doing on a regular basis is just thanking and reflecting on the people that made it possible for us to exist as a business. I remember the first time I met Cortez. I remember the first time I met Lecrae. I remember the first time I met Kim, right? These are all people that didn't have to, but in ways big and small, sent opportunities, like just talked about us in ways that put us in rooms that we weren't in, right? Like now it's my job to be intentional about making sure that I'm doing the same thing about other businesses, right? And so
just a quick plug, yeah. Ryan introduced Jewel to Lecrae. Lecrae probably wouldn't be sitting here right now had Ryan not made that introduction, right? Like this just happened in real time, bro. Like
I mean, it's about relationships, and to this last point about us hating each other. I mean, that's a real question that we have to ask and go back to that old line in our community: who taught you to hate yourself? And ask people, why is it that they don't feel like they can bet on black things? We over-index on most things that we participate in. I mean, we buy more of it, we consume more content. I mean, like why is it then when we see people in our community that we have anything but excitement that the thing that they're creating, because this is what stats are telling us, has a likelihood of being more successful than other stuff that we see. We don't need endorsements from anybody else. Our culture and our community has always led the way. And so, I mean, what we do on a daily basis, I feel lucky to be able to do this work as I try to figure out how to connect dots between people that ordinarily maybe would have met one another, but I don't pay attention to any of the rules around how we're supposed to associate, right? Young people should know old people. Tech people should know creatives, right? We should have folks that work in the corporate sector figuring out how to get interested in what's going on in music and film, right? Like the more that we're able to collaborate, and then to that last point, we have to spend money with one another, significant money. This isn't, certainly during these times, this is not the time for the homie discount. This isn't the time to try to get over on a business and ask them to do more for less, right? Because of the times. It's in fact time to invest in businesses and in one another, given opportunities. I mean, we have to keep dollars moving, and we have to keep people meeting one another. So I hope I answered your question, but
No, you did.
But it's not that hard, y'all. It's about just us being specific about it. It's not going to happen by us tweeting and sending out, well wishes over text. It takes us actually doing, again, to the example on the folks that are on this panel, they for us at the Gathering Spot did things for us that put us in a position. Now, our job after that, now this is an important point too, our job after that was to execute, right? Don't have people put you on and then embarrass yourself and them by being terrible. But if we trust that the people that we're putting into rooms that they may not be in themselves yet are going to be good stewards of that opportunity, then we have to keep doing more. And then, yes, there's going to be bad apples, but there's bad actors and apples in every situation, in every community that exists. Like if we can't bet on us, shame on us for going out and ask any other community to bet on us. We have.
Come on, Ryan. Man, I preach that so much. It's like we can't complain if we're not doing it ourselves. Like we got to get the back of house straight before we invite people in. Like we got to get cleaned up.
And we have to realize that we don't need anybody else a lot of times, right? I mean, like that's the crazy part about all of this is that, I mean, one of the questions we used to get is just like, well, tell me about the community and the diversity at the Gathering Spot. Everybody is welcome at the Gathering Spot. 100, anybody can come. But does it come from Black folks for Black folks? Yes, it does, right? And if we were going to die because Black folks didn't support us, we were just going to have to die because there was no way that I was going to create a product that I was passionate about and be more concerned about folks that aren't concerned about me. Like we spend more time trying to figure out how to make other folks feel comfortable about our presence in a space than we do just trying to make sure that we take care of our own people, right? And again, everybody is welcome, but this idea that we go into neutral spaces, if you think that going into country clubs, like for the majority of the people watching this, that those country clubs were designed for you, you're dead wrong, right? They were not thinking about you when they built that club. Once we become honest about that, we can start making real important decisions about what happens next. Again, that's not excluding anyone. That's just being intentional about what perspective we're coming from. People will buy into that. People are not going to buy into you acting like you're creating something for everybody when we're all kind of thinking about somebody when we do. It just so happens that our culture dominates at this point, not even just US culture, but global culture. So not betting on Black folks at this point, forget it being morally wrong. It's bad business.
Hey, man.
All right, something.
Oh my God. Like, we about to just take some questions. I don't even know. Nothing else to say. Like, we just going to take some questions. Like, I've never been a part of something like this. We had this many powerful, connected, just doers, like people that do the work, come together and have a discussion like this. And it was around our community. Like, maybe I missed a couple. Maybe I wasn't invited. Maybe it was some rooms that I wasn't cool enough to be in that had these conversations. But I've never been in a room or a discussion like this. And man, y'all dropping some And I hear this stuff all the time from y'all, and I'm still in wild hearing it again. Like we had these conversations all the time. But I want to open it up for some questions. Can we bring up? I'm gonna try to work through this questions process because I'm not in the main stage. If y'all do have questions, I don't know. Was that a good way to end? I feel like Ryan just ended it, and I feel like I had nothing else to say. But I just want. Let's just go to questions. Like we do what we want over here. We're just gonna go to questions. Tracey, I'm glad you popped up. We got a man. I'm still in August. We might take a 5-minute break. All right, come on. Let's jump into the questions. Tracey, we from Danielle Forrest would love to hear from Tracey on the process for creating a prototype and finding manufacturers. Also curious on the patent process. Any insight on this would be much appreciated.
Wow, that's a lot. Well, I'll say, let me start from the last question. In terms of the patent process, there is a company called Thoughts to Paper, thoughtstopaper.com. They are actually the marketing face for a firm that does all types of patents. They are actually really, really good. I've worked with them for years. So yeah, contact them. They will walk you through the process. In terms of prototyping, I think it's really important first to do a makeshift prototype. So basically find whatever you can around your house on Amazon and try and piece together what you're trying to do. You're going to learn a lot by trying to put it together yourself, and then find someone that can help you. Either if it's a soft good, then a contract manufacturer. Of course, you may just have to Google who makes X. I ended up having to do that. I didn't even know who made hats. And also Makers Row is a great resource as well. And let's see, what was the second question? Finding manufacturers. A lot of people are using Alibaba now. I was fortunate to work with a trade company called Jade. They are no longer in business, but there are a lot of online resources now where you can find manufacturers. But I think the best thing to do is find someone who is making something similar, not competitive, but similar, meaning in the same industry. Either you can find out who makes their products online, or even contact that business owner, go on LinkedIn, say, hey, would you mind giving me some insight on how to find a manufacturer? It's usually best to have a warm introduction than to try and go cold. That's what I was able to do. And if it is something that's in the soft goods space, feel free to DM me on Instagram, Tracey Pickett Esquire. I'm happy to make introductions or help you get connected.
Thank you, Tracey. And one of these questions, like something for us. Does Collab only invest in tech companies? So the answer is no. Sorry, on the screen now. Sorry about that. The answer is no. We invest in innovation companies that are innovative. And so if you're doing something, and if you're just creating another service business, if you have a marketing firm or a law firm that you're spinning up, or a laundromat, like we won't invest in those. I don't know why I said laundromat, but people might start laundromats, no shade. But if you're doing that type of business, we will not invest. But if you have a new way of running, stick with the laundromat bucket. If you have a new way of running a laundromat, then yes, we might look at that. If you're bringing some type of innovative, scalable solution to the table, it's not just going to be software. And so hope that answered that question. Trying to move to these questions. Let's see here. Can we bring up Jewel and Justin for this one as well? I also don't know if you guys have anything to share for that question, but if not, I'll go to the next question that we can chime in on. I've seen Silicon Valley longtime investors say $25K should be a starting investment. Is there a starting amount that the panel recommends putting into a business?
I think it depends. It's a lot of variability. It depends a lot on what the business is, what the needs are. So I wouldn't say that there is any particular starting amount. I think that it really depends on what you're doing, how you're approaching it, what the needs are. I would say that if you are starting a business, it's good to save up an amount before you get started. So making sure that you understand what your costs are, just your expenses to live, and saving at least a year, I would recommend, in living expenses, and then using that kind of as a rule of thumb for just starting the business. But as far as what's recommended for investors, I think it depends highly on what the business is and what it's trying to build.
Yeah, I'll add, Jewel, I think what Jewel said was spot on. One thing that I will add is starting on your business and starting your business aren't always the same timeline. Jewel will tell you this in her journey and story. She started working on her business months, I think even a couple of years before she actually got into the actual building of the first iterations of Part Pick. And so you should always be researching, learning, building relationships with people that may help you guide your path, help you find those trap doors that maybe got them stuck in their journeys and experiences. So yes, starting the business, actually incorporating the business, getting insurance if where it's needed, all those things. You can that timeline may be a little bit later, but that doesn't mean don't start on your business, which is researching, understanding the problem, talking to customers, wireframing, prototyping your ideas out so that you can start to actually present those solutions to potential customers, depending on the type of business that it is, so that you can learn more about the business. And so in many instances, you don't need any real capital to do that. You just need to dedicate your time and your energy to learning as much as you can about your business and the industry you're trying to create in.
Thank you. I will lean on my team. I will not bring anything else to that answer. I will move on to the next question from Lucy. How do you get sponsors for virtual events like these? So Lucy, you get sponsors by doing it for the first time, and then hopefully a bunch of people show up and it's super dope. And you can take that content back to somebody and say, hey, look what I did. I'm going to do it again. Would you give me $10,000? So we do not have sponsors for this event. And I'll segue this into how we did approach. So I know it might say sponsored by, I believe, maybe in the reception area. Gooder was not a sponsor. This was our opportunity to bring a group of people talking about businesses and this crisis that we're going through. And we, instead of getting sponsors, we chose to help people. And so we did not get sponsored this event, but we are raising money for Gooder. Like I said, our goal is $10,000. And also, I know I put in the reception after the event, but I know some people start to tail off during Q&A. So if you are heading out, hope you're not, because we still got some questions to go, and we're going to drop a video at the end. But we also have the Village Market has bought a couple of their companies and showcased a couple of the companies that they support through the Village Market, and they're in the expos. You can go into the expo after this is over and actually talk to those business owners and purchase their products right here. And so this whole thing for us was about supporting Black businesses, supporting Black families, just supporting our community all together. Now, yes, but we package this up and then go take this to somebody and say, hey, give us $100,000 so we can do this at a larger scale. But this is how you do the work. I mean, you do the work. You don't go beg for money first. You start the thing, you do it. And then if you're good at it and if you can pull it off, then people might be willing to write you a check. And too many times, some people run out to get the check first. And that gets into starting small. Like you might have to start it with 50 people, right? And it's you getting the thing done. Because a lot of times people just want to see that you can execute. Like it was a lot that went behind bringing a live stream. Like I didn't know how much this was going to take. This is a lot of work. Shout out to the Quarantine Con team for kind of putting us on and helping us pull this thing off. Got some dope stuff coming down the pipe with them as well. But yeah, they just went out and did the work. And so that's what we're doing here. And so definitely go check out the expo button on your left when this whole thing is over, and go support some Black businesses. Go buy a couple products. Spend some money in our community. The PSA is over. Thank you for listening. Let's see here. Let's move through some more questions. Let's see here. Man, y'all write some long questions, and I got to read it before I say it out loud. Are y'all reading the questions too, Justin and Jewel? Can y'all read through some of these with me? Let me know if it's some. Damn, it's a lot of questions. How far along? This is Jared. How far along does a founder need to be before seeking investment? Example: do they need a working prototype before seeking investment? Can the investor help with that?
That's a good question. I think that my rule of thumb is all about de-risking. And Justin, you actually always answer this question really well, but the point of getting an investor is not to start. It's really to help propel and grow. And so when you think about a working prototype, will it cost you very much to get that started? Probably not. There's many apps and sites out there that can help you get a clickable prototype. And that's something that you should be able to get done on your own, quite honestly. So I definitely recommend getting as far as you can before you go out and seek investment, because really you'll get a better deal that way. Investors are going to take more at the earliest stages if you don't have much to offer and they're really counting on you or betting on you as a person. And so my advice is to get as far as you possibly can without seeking investment, putting your own dollars in. If you need to reach out to people that know you very well and would invest in anything that you would do, then go for it. But generally, I would say invest in yourself. And then once you have that done and you have something that has shown some validation in the market, maybe you have some early customers, you've built something, then you might go out and seek investment. But you also need to understand your business and see if it's a type of business that needs investment. If you can go and get customers, then just do that. So those are a few things that I would think about as far as seeking investment.
All right, I think Ryan wanted to touch a little bit on this question as well.
I mean, just quickly, I think it's more important to focus on your customer, right? I mean, going back to this idea of how businesses grow and what Jewel just said, we are able to grow businesses because we have support for those businesses. I think we're in a weird time, and we'll see how this changes after COVID. But I think that we're going to start to see that this whole I just raise money to raise money, but never actually try to figure out a business plan. That time is going to come to an end at some point. And the only businesses that are going to be left are the businesses that really thought about the actual model, the actual do business with, not this weird world of just trying to raise capital with no real, again, clear line of sight on what they're actually trying to get accomplished. So focus more on your customer. Investors respect that conversation. You will be much more, you'll be much better positioned as an entrepreneur with not as a business that has some sort of customer than as a business that's just there soliciting capital without anything.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Let's see here. And just for the audience, I mean, we have a lot of questions here, and the ones that we may not be able to get to during this time, we'll definitely try to reach out and maybe answer it on the side. We do have all of if you have a profile, we should be able to pull up your Twitter and your email address and things of that nature. And so we will definitely get back to you on all of these. I'm just maybe not live right here. Next question I want to pull up.
Barry, I think Kim wants to jump in for that one.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was about to pull her up on the next one.
Okay, well, she can answer both.
You're on mute, Kim.
Am I on? Okay, there I am. The only thing I would say to that last question is that it really does depend on the investor appetite. Sometimes it's investing in the big idea. And so I'll tell you, I look at some things by way of past performance. I look at some things by way of actuals and wanting to see where in the forecast. But I also invest in people. I look at the way this panel has been developed and all of the talent and bright minds and the sense of critical thinkers. I take some bets. So I would say too, don't count out the investor in thinking that, some of it's relationship driven. I'll be honest with you all too, in my journey of investing, It started out because I knew some African-American executives at Procter & Gamble company. One of them being my late uncle, who was, he built the second largest Black-owned radio broadcasting company. And they used to take my money. They say, you want to play in this game? Ante up. And so a lot of it became small versions of skin in the game, just so I could learn the game. Yep. And so that's why I say too, you know, if you want to kind of, and it's baptism by fire, trial and error, just like it is with my business. But your risk tolerance will dictate a lot of where and how you play in deals. But then past that, fast forward to 2 years ago, this same group of majority minority investors came back together. This time the ante was a little bit more, but we took a company public on a New York Stock Exchange, and you know, the majority of the folks look like you and I. Now I want to go back to what you also said too, and someone made the point, I'm not sure if it was Tez or Lecrae, but just understanding too that while we're betting on Black, let's not, you know, exclude. And Barry, you mentioned how you brought someone else into the room. Yep. There are people who don't look like us, that respect and value us by way of creative genius and our business contributions as global contributions, that we should allow to participate. And that's my personal opinion. That's my personal opinion. So you can at me, and I really don't care, but you can at me, okay? But I'll tell you, you need to learn the game. It's chess, not checkers. And so I would just say to you too, you know, don't count out that dream, because there may be someone who's ready and willing to bet on Black.
Man, y'all good with the word. I don't know. Oh, can you bring Tez, Lecrae? You can bring Kim back too. This was for her too. You can bring Kim back up. You gonna mute for us, Kim? So this next question is pretty broad, but I wanted all three of you to have a quick shot at it. And the question is, how do you find investors from the music industry? And Kimberly, I wanted you to chime in on this as well, because I think some people get so stuck in like this influencer has to be a musician or athlete, but there are other people that work around these people and that are also influencers themselves from a corporate side. And so I wanted to, the question wasn't about that, but I thought it would be very beneficial for the audience to hear from you. How do they find investors like yourself? But yeah, really quick, I just wanted to hear from all three of you. Like, how do people find you?
I'll just start and say a lot of it, if I'm being 100% honest, like especially when you're talking about like, you know, high profile and people who are highly visible public figures, there's always somebody pulling at them. So the easiest thing to do is to figure out their network and the people who, you know, business managers, people in those particular circles, so that they know they can hear a voice that they trust bringing you this information. You know what I mean? So it's like my ears are open and my eyes may be open a lot, but if my business manager or my attorney or someone that I know in this network, or Jewel or Barry brings somebody to me, then it's gonna be a lot different than this person coming up to me on the street talking to me about a deal.
That's a great point there, Lecrae, man. I definitely would advise that. I think that, you know, I'm on social media, right? I do look at things. I feel like personally, I would tell somebody with a product or, you know, something to offer, you know, package it up in a dope, creative way to grab anyone's attention, you know what I'm saying? And like to, you know, I think that counts. You know, I could attest to you know, people who have sent me dope videos to bring me in, to gravitate me in, to look at their product, and you know, and that opened up conversation and flow with, you know, what they were pitching. So I would say when you know, hit all, you know, use all the tools that you can use. Social media is key. Like Lecrae said, reach out, look at the networks of all the people around them, but be very creative, innovative, and try to have, for me as a person who does deal flow and look at deals all the time, when you're pitching, make sure you're pitching something that, do your best to show how it can make sense and how the bottom line can make sense, so that the person, so that these people, these artists, or whoever you want, anybody, would come aboard and want to, invest in whatever you're trying to do. So make sure you have a well packaged deal. Try to be very creative to get it to those people.
Yeah. Only other thing I'll say is I'm gonna ask you off the top, like, what are your expenses? So if you don't know your operational costs or your expenses, like, shut the conversation down.
Kimberly, you want to close us out real quick on this question? You still on mute.
Okay, there I am. I'll just piggyback on two things. You got to get my attention, right? And so I'll tell you, a lot of deals come to me because I've developed a reputation and market now as an investor. And so sometimes things come to me actually by way of my network. Somebody knows me and, they say, hey, can you get this tour? To Tez's point, but it needs to be tight. I do pay attention as much as I'm paying attention first and foremost to the numbers. I want to see what that point of impression is by way of presenting as it would be presented in market. I also think too, and to your point, Barry, I serve in an organization called the Executive Leadership Council. This is the group of African Americans in corporate America that sit within 3 of the chairmen for global Fortune, probably 500 or so organizations and companies. And Jewel came and spoke to a group of the African American women last summer. There are women who look like me in corporate America that are interested in kind of hearing what's going on as way of investment. So, it's navigating and getting to a person that may have the network and then have it ripple in the way of opportunity and exposure for folks to be able to present their ideas and business opportunities or investments. But I would also say to you too, for me personally, and I say it all the time, your network can determine your net worth. And for me, it's always too, even in my own business, going back as a business owner, I really try to make sure that I am diversifying my network. I know a lot of you personally, because actually I subscribe to an understanding and a commitment to paying it forward. But even more so, I'm smart enough to know that y'all gonna be in the next. So, y'all gonna be bringing me along in the deal flow on some things, So, I would say don't get so restrictive to your tribes. Make sure that you're looking beyond your comfort zones of community and take that step outward. And there may be something dangling in it for you.
No, appreciate that. And I want to close it out on you, Kim. I'll close it out with, this is one of the reasons that we wanted to start Collab, because many of the investors that you would be reaching out to, you don't have access to them and it's very hard to get to them. And we want to be that conduit so that they don't have to sort through 100 things. And no offense to the panel, but especially from a tech perspective, not really knowing how to vet it, right? Like, we want to be that trusted, vetted source for our LPs and for Black investors coming from different industries. And I also want to segue this into talk about another part of Collab, which is Lecrae and Tez mentioned it. Your stuff needs to be buttoned up. Like, you need to be tight. But we also understand that if you haven't had the coaching, if you haven't ever been in these shoes before, that you may not know how to get it tight. You might be this close. And so where do you go then? And so I'll let Justin come in and chat a little bit about what Collab Studio is and why it's so important to allow us to help button up those companies so that we can take it to the point that it's ready for investment. And then we're going to close it out with some last words from our panelists.
Yeah, happy to share. So thankful for this panel. I've got so many notes and gems to share out through our newsletters and communications later. But Collab Studio is all about preparing you. We are excited to invest in founders through our fund and through our investment opportunities that we hope to present. But we're also we also understand that for a lot of founders, it's their first time. For a lot of founders, it is, they may not necessarily have some of the skills that investors will look for. So we put together a series of programs and resources and other things, all designed to prepare founders for the next major milestone. So for us, the thing to think about when thinking about Collab Studio is think about it as your startup school, or think about it as the place where you go to develop the skill to get that polish. At the end of the day, most investors look at three main pillars: team, traction, and idea, right? So the team, if it's just you by yourself, it's you. So a team of one. So do you have the experience? Have you built the skills needed to accomplish the things and really nail the thing that you're trying to nail within your business and within the market you want to compete in? So that's the team. The next is the idea. Is it a big idea? Is it novel? Is it something that is investable, right? So is it something that can scale? It can bring tons of revenue and opportunity and profit and really have an impact on the community and the markets that you want to be impactful on. And then the great equalizer is traction, right? Have you sold something to someone? Have you built the product? How far did you go? How far did you get before you actually reached out to a third party, to an investor? So we built Collab Studio to do those things, to help you look at those three kind of pillars and figure out the best way to get you ready for the next major milestone, which may be, I have a wireframe, I'm trying to find a technical co-founder. How do I speak to developers? How do I find a data scientist if I want to work on something in that space? If you have traction, but you want to get some more, you want to figure out how to be more profitable, we're going to have workshops and labs that show you how to do digital marketing, do integrated technologies, and really focus on building up your sales pipeline. And of course, on the team side, a lot of that is around your network. Kim brought up some great points around ensuring that you're diversifying your network, but sometimes finding people can be a challenge. So we're going to have different types of experiences starting here in Atlanta and hopefully in other cities going forward, where we actually bring people together to create those serendipitous, create those moments for serendipitous connection, where you just around like-minded individuals, people that may be interested in your space. And so Collab Studio is really the farm, if you will, for what we call our pre-investment activities, where we actually will give you an opportunity as a founder, as an entrepreneur, to come together, to learn, to build a skill, and learn how to actually prepare for that next milestone. So really excited. Check out collabstudio.co for workshops. Most of them are virtual and digital, so everybody can, anyone can participate from across the country. And we're really, really excited to, continue to help small businesses and startups get the resources they need so they can continue to be successful, not just through this, but beyond.
Thank you, Justin. Appreciate that. All right, man. I know we're a couple minutes over, and really appreciate you, everybody, for sticking with us. We're going to close it out. My panelists or our guests, they don't know I was going to do this, but hopefully we can keep it short and sweet. Dom, you could bring up all of the guests, and we just love to hear one last nugget, like one thing, whether it's a mental health tip, whether it's a marketing tip, a founder tip, like whatever the case may be. Just kind of try to keep it to 1 minute. I know when you this dope, you want to talk for a long time. But we're gonna try to keep it down to 1 minute apiece, and then when they wrap, we're gonna wrap it up by showing the full version of that shortened marketing video that we put out earlier today. Ryan, you're first in the celebrity square, so we're gonna let you kick it off.
I appreciate y'all. I mean, quickly, we're really all that we have and all that we need. If you're an aspiring entrepreneur out there, keep going. There's nobody more capable than you to build a business, and the community is here to support you. You have to continue to just move every day in a positive direction, and understand that there's a big difference between ideas and executing on things. But at the end of the day, that if you move towards executing, we're all we got in many respects, and again, we're all that we need. Continue to bet on Black. It will serve you well. Everybody stay safe.
Thank you, sir. Kimberly.
So I'll be brief. I mean, for me, I want to lead with a word of encouragement. Our lineage and history by rite of passage say that we are a people of resilience. And so for me, it's to remind everyone that this too shall pass, that we have been built for this. But it's also about having the faith, but exercising that faith muscle. So it's not the time to rest, but a time to roar. As a woman of faith, I know that greater is coming, and I would encourage you to know that too. But by way of business, I also want to say, in the theme of this discussion, that it is okay to be unapologetically Black, but understand your business, understand the marketplace. Let's look to how we collaborate and uplift other businesses during this time. I literally was having thoughts, and a friend shot a text to me through my promotional products company. I was like, hey, this is a corporate person. Do you all sell Tracey's umbrella? I said, no, we don't, but I'll talk to her afterwards, because companies order products and services from PMM. And so we source things to company, and that may be a partnership. So I'm always trying to look at ways to collaborate. I'd close in saying that, I pray that each of you, by way of safety and good health, understand that, organizations like Collab Capital, they're here to help. Don't take this and sit on the sidelines. Being in business is not a spectator sport. And operating in excellence will always, always allow you to compete.
All right, let's move on to Tracey. You go on mute, Kim? Thank you.
Man, don't put me after Kim. I feel like that's all we needed to hear. I am a woman of faith as well, and my parents are pastors. And one thing my mom would always tell me is that God already knew what was going to happen. The way has already been made. Your path was already set. And so whatever comes is either preparation for greater or is preparing you for what you asked for. So I believe that with all my heart. I know that sometimes when things look like, it's going to present defeat, you have to just kind of fix in your mind, like there's nothing that would come to me to defeat me. If you got me this far, clearly there's something I need to go through to be prepared for the next level. So that's how I'm viewing this. I actually view it as my first opportunity to become a real CEO, because there are no great stories without great adversity. And so I am grateful for the opportunity to overcome this. And I would invite all of my fellow founders to take that same stance, that we're gonna get through this. We'll have a better story to tell for it.
Preaching. Come on, Tracey. All right, Lecrae.
What you want me to do, man? You want me to remix what they said? We give you a remix, a new spin on it. They done already said everything it is to say, man. Look good, it's great. Oh my goodness, man! All of
you ain't nothing else to say. Just give us a promo to your single you just dropped.
Like, go get my music, man. It's out right now. You know what I'm saying? Set me free. On digital platforms everywhere. No, man. Listen, man. They said it all. If I'm reiterating anything, I'll reiterate the reality that almost 100 years ago, we was in the Great Depression, you know what I mean? And people took advantage of that. 100 years ago, just being candid, Black people were not considered in that whole legislation of all the things that changed during that time period. We have a very unique opportunity. We've been living in a recession our entire existence in America. We haven't had the opportunities that we should have had, and yet we still have overcome by the grace of God. And so, man, use that as an inspiration to keep pushing. We built for this. This is what we do. You know what I mean? It's what we do.
All right. Tez, close us out.
Yeah, I mean, outside of what everyone else said, I just would say, well, I kind of started out with don't take this time for granted of stillness and being in the house. That passion that you had, or that one thing that outside of your 9 to 5, if it's, if it's been cut short, that what you always wanted to do, you have the tools now with the internet to research those things, smarten yourself up, and kind of go for all those different things that's for those aspiring entrepreneurs. These groups like Collab and a whole lot of other platforms are here for you to try to guide you through that. That's why this is so dope. And for the people on the flip side who may be in need, outside of Gooder, there's a nonprofit work we call Stand Together. I have a link in my profile page called Give Together Now. It's for those families that grew up how I grew up, minimal income, poverty with access to money right now. It's been like $16 million raised already. That's out there just for those families outside of the stimulus package that the government gives you, just an extra pot of money. Pass that word, spread that word for anyone who also needs outside of Gooder and all these other companies that's doing great things to give back to the people, who may not be in a position as all of us to take this opportunity to invest and to grow our businesses, but that really just need the help just to get through the month and through these months of tough times.
Oh man, so many jewels dropped. I just want to thank all of our guests one more time, and I'm happy to call you guys partners, friends. Just happy that I know you and I can kind of get these gems on a regular basis. This stuff is powerful, man. This is the reason I think that all of us on this call are successful, because we lean into each other. We help each other. We're open to learning new things, understanding we don't know everything. And I'm hoping that everyone that was listening today had that same thought process when they're going forward to building the next thing, or just supporting a business, or doing whatever it is that you're going to do after this call. And so, speaking of supporting businesses, we're going to run a video after this, our first release of our collab video. We dropping videos too, Lecrae. You're not the only one dropping videos this week. So we're gonna run our video, and then please go support. I believe it's 8 Black-owned businesses that are in the expo. So after this video is over, this is our way of saying goodbye, our way of saying thank you for your support, for tuning in tonight. Thank you for bringing the team back. This means the world to us. We're so happy to be finally launched, finally, able to talk about this thing out in the public. Just super excited. And so I'll let my team give their final thoughts. We'll move to the video, and then we want you guys to go shop and support.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I hope that you all got the message that in order to get through this, we are going to have to collaborate. That is the only way. So make sure, I know you guys are connecting in the chat. Please continue to do that. Support each other through this, and we'll make it through.
Yeah, just echoing Jewel's sentiments, Barry's sentiments. Really thankful for all of you for taking time out on a Sunday evening to just listen and hear what we've been working on. We built this for you. We built this with Black entrepreneurs and our Black communities all in mind. And so we're really excited to finally, to Barry's point, finally start to talk about it a little bit more and share some of the wonderful things. We have some more exciting news coming, so we're stay tuned. But more importantly, stay safe. And we're here if you need us. Please visit Collab Studio again, and look forward to more content and opportunities to engage us there. So thank you.
Capitalism does not permit an even flow of economic resources.
With this system, a small privileged few are rich beyond conscience,
and almost all others are doomed to be poor at some level.
That's the way the system works.
And since we know that the system will not change the rules,
we are going to have to change the system.
Back Back in 2012, when we started our companies, we decided that once we were also really successful, that we would all come together and create something so that the next generation of Black entrepreneurs, they wouldn't have to go through the same challenges that we went through.
We are connecting Black founders with the social, human, and financial resources they need to be successful. We're not only providing the capital, but we're also providing wraparound services to make sure that they know what to do with the capital when they get it, and that they have the additional resources they need to grow their business.
My name is Justin Dawkins. I am an entrepreneur and a software developer for about 20 years. I've helped startup founders, small businesses and corporations build technology solutions for their many challenges and needs within their organizations and their startups.
My name is Jewel Burks Solomon. I am an entrepreneur. I am a tech enthusiast. I'm very focused on getting access to capital for entrepreneurs who need it the most.
My name is Berg Givens. I've been founding businesses since I was a sophomore in college, from custom sneaker lines to an automatic cocktail making machine.
We created Collab Capital because when entrepreneurs need resources, particularly financial ones, they actually have just two options: going into a bank or getting venture capital. Unfortunately, 83% of businesses don't fit either one of those models. From our corporate access, the wealth that was created before us, and the community, we wondered what it would look like if we took all of those resources and directed them towards Black founders to help them grow and scale their businesses.
At Collab Capital, we are investing in founders who are Black, who are seeking optionality in their journeys, who are building profitable, innovative businesses, and who want to maintain ownership so that eventually they can give back to their own communities. We also really kept in mind Black investors. So we wanted to get people who traditionally have not invested in technology companies to understand more about how you invest in technology companies, but also build a model that was beneficial to them. So through our profit sharing, we're able to provide returns much sooner than traditional venture capital and get people involved in the businesses in a way that really services them as well.
For me, it was very important to partner with individuals who are skilled, talented, and committed to the vision that they believe in, and really are doing the work that they say they want to see happen in other people's lives. Contributing to the Black community really gives me a sense of joy because I feel as if I'm allowing my ceiling to be someone else's floor. And so I know that there are just people groups that are consistently overlooked, and the Black community is one of those people groups. And so for me, it's much bigger than being a venture partner. It's a mission, and I'm excited to be a part of that mission. Investing is me giving my time, my talents, and my treasure to what I say I believe in.
It's extremely important for founders of color, particularly Black founders, to have Black investors because it gives them a safe space. And this really allows the founder to be themselves. And that's one of the hardest things to do as a Black entrepreneur trying to raise money, is to walk into other rooms and not be able to be yourself. And hopefully, as Black founders come into our offices, they'll feel that comfort and they'll feel at home and be able to pitch their ideas in comfort.